In this video, you will learn hammer hygiene using my 4 levels of jewelry hammer maintenance. I will show you how your hammers can go from pitted to polished. I'm Greg Greenwood. Welcome to my studio. I have identified 4 levels of maintaining jewelry hammers. Let's start by taking a look at a worst case scenario with a hammer that needs all 4 levels of maintenance for a total restoration. This forging hammer is a great example of a hammer that we can totally restore. It's a smaller forging hammer, about 300 kilograms or about 10 ounces, and it will work perfect for forging smaller silver wires. As you can see, the flat peen is in pretty sad shape here. We're going to have to totally restore that. The cross peen is actually in pretty good shape. So let's take this hammer apart and we'll start the total restoration. To determine the level of maintenance that we need on this hammer head, we need to establish how hard this hammer head and face is, and we can do that using our regular flat file. Make sure that you use a file that is designated for steel only. Do not use any of your files that you've used for silver. We do not want to contaminate the silver and mix steel and silver together. It's real difficult to determine the hardness of any of the hammer heads because they're all a little bit different. If you use a file, you can tell if it's really soft or very, very hard. I think we could probably do this whole restoration with the file, but it's going to take quite a long time. I think we're going to switch to using the grinder on this one, and we'll grind this down. Level 1 of hammer maintenance is grinding. This grinding level is a shaping step and is the most aggressive. It removes a lot of metal very quickly and should only be used if the hammer peen is chipped, gouged, or looking overused, like our sample hammer. I've set up my portable bench and vise outside for the grinding operation. I don't like to have random sparks flying inside my studio. I like to use an angle grinder with a flap disc. The flap disc is made up of many layers of emery flaps, which will give a smoother grind to the steel surface, unlike a hard, solid disc. Eye protection should always be used when grinding metal. I'll start on the flat peen. Even though it is called the flat peen, it is really slightly domed. This shape helps to prevent the edges of the hammer from accidentally striking the silver and leaving random dents. Start grinding from the top middle and work the grinder down past the edges of the peen. Try to keep the grinding even from all sides. It is a good idea to take the hammer head out of the vise and check your progress. Check for deep marks and gouges. Double check the edges of the peen to make sure they blend into the sides of the peen. Keep grinding until you are satisfied with the curvature of the slight dome. Use a ruler if you have any doubts about the doming angle. Now let's look at the cross peen and see how we should shape it. The angles of the peen are good, but the shape across the peen is too straight and flat. The cross peen should be slightly domed or curved. This shape, like the flat peen, helps prevent and control the edges from accidentally denting your forged wires. Start grinding and rounding the squared edges of the peen. Work your way from the outside to the middle. Grind both sides of the peen, making the curvature smooth and even. The width of this cross peen is too wide. Grinding down both sides of the cross peen will make it thinner and more in proportion to itself. The edges after this step will need to be softened with the grinder. Level 2 of hammer maintenance is filing. This level of maintenance is the final shaping and refining step. Remember to use your files that are designated for steel only. You can also use finer grades of file to keep the file scratches to a minimum depth. Keep filing until you are happy with the overall shape of the slight dome. The edges should be smooth with no sharp corners or burrs. The file will make quick work on these edges. Now that we've finished shaping the flat peen, we can switch over to the cross peen and refine the shape of this one, making it nice and smooth along the edge with our file. Level 3 of hammer maintenance is emerying or sanding. Because we're working on a slightly domed peen, I want to use an emery stick. This way I can curve it around that dome and not worry about flattening an area. I like to work the emery stick in one direction, making all my scratches moving in one direction, and then I can switch over at another angle and go across it. That way I know that I'm taking out the previous scratches. It's very easy to see that way. If you have a flexible shaft, you can use sanding discs for this operation also. Work from a coarse sanding disc down to a fine one. This one is a fine 800 grit sanding disc. For the final emerying, I like to use a harder stick and make sure that I use a worn out piece of emery. I don't want to use this on silver, only use it on steel. Because this is a harder stick than the previous one that has some flexibility, this one I can really put some pressure on it and get those final little scratches out before our level number 4. We'll take the superfine emery stick and work all those scratches out, and then this cross peen will be ready for level 4. Level 4 of hammer maintenance is polishing. This level of maintenance is the wow step, the level that we've been working hard to achieve. You can use 2 different methods for polishing your hammers. The first choice is the flexible shaft. Most jewelers have a flex shaft in their studios. Hard felt and muslin buffs or mops work very well with a good abrasive cutting compound. Be prepared, though, to spend a little extra time polishing with the flexible shaft. Your second choice is the larger polishing machine. I like to use a stitched muslin buff or mop that I haven't removed the stitching out of and I've worn down a bit. This makes it a little bit harder, which works great for steel. This is the compound that I use for polishing hammers. It's a stainless steel compound. You can use any kind of compound that you wish, like Tripoli, White Diamond, or any of the Luxie cutting compounds. They all work very well. Please wear eye and lung protection whenever you're polishing. Safety first, take care of your lungs and your eyes. When using the polishing wheel, work in the front lower quarter of the buff and keep away from the top edges of your projects, which are called trailing edges. That way they won't get caught and pull the hammer or your project into the polishing wheel. I'm going to only be working in the lower half of this peen, so I stay away from the trailing edge. I want to keep the hammer peen moving. Just keep it circling around so I don't keep polishing in just one direction. Always working in that lower half of the peen. Looking really good because we've done a lot of emery work on it, so this makes the polishing go much easier and faster. Let's work on the cross peen now. And here they are. Nice mirror finish. Now we'll put the handle back on and we'll have a nice forging hammer. Here is our finished forging hammer. I decided to put a coat of paint on the unpolished sections to help prevent rust in the future. When you are not using your hammers, put a thin coat of oil on the polished peens. This will help them remain rust-free and ready to go when you need them. Wow, what a transformation from pitted to polished. Of course, this was a level 4 maintenance job. Most of your hammers will not need all 4 levels of maintenance. To help you determine the level of maintenance that will bring your hammers into top condition, here are some examples of hammers that are at 4 different maintenance levels. This hammer is definitely at level 1 maintenance grinding. This hammer is at level 2. It needs only to be filed. You can see a little nick up here, so that could be filed out and without having to grind it and starting at level 1. This hammer is a level 2 maintenance hammer. It needs to be filed flat because the peen here, instead of being flat, is slightly cupped in. This hammer is a number 3 level maintenance hammer. Even though it looks really bad with a lot of rust on it, it's only surface rust and it can be emeryed off. This hammer is a level 3 maintenance hammer. It only needs to be emeryed. There's a little ding down in here and a few scratches in this area. This hammer is a level 4 maintenance hammer. Just needs to be a little polished. There's a couple little light scratches on the surface and it will bring it right back into shape. Only polishing is needed for this hammer. I hope this video and hammer examples have helped you to determine good hammer hygiene. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any of my new videos. Check out my website, greggreenwoodjewelry.com. I'm Greg Greenwood. Keep your hammer peens polished, and I'll see you next time.